The December meeting of the Back Bay Amateur Astronomers will now come to order. And we will start off with our Vice President's report. The schedule.
Sit down.
I
sat down last time, had to get back up. Okay, welcome to all that's here. I don't see, but there's 9 of us here at this meeting. There's 6 of you guys out there, is 15. So we got about 10% of the club, don't we? All right. All right, here is our schedule. Okay, this part, right? All right. Chesapeake Planetarium is concurrent with our meeting tonight. And does anybody know if anybody made it to that meeting? No?
I know that Sean and Kent were planning on going.
Okay.
Yeah, I know Sean is there at the Chesapeake Planetarium.
Sean and Kent tonight. Okay.
Kent is too, huh?
All right. So the big deal this month is Chesapeake Planetarium has several shows. Tonight's the first one. In other words, all 3 Thursdays is the Christmas Star Show, and then Tuesday and Tuesday. So there's 4 shows.
5 shows.
5 shows? 1, 2, 3. You're right.
Next week.
Tuesday and Tuesday. Tuesday and Tuesday. Okay.
Tuesday. Oh, I'm sorry.
Of next week.
Tuesday, right.
All right. So there's 5 shows. We need some volunteers to bring telescopes there too. Next week's going to be an incredibly busy week because of the planetarium and a few other things. So we got Saturday, Sunday this weekend. Chesapeake Planetarium on Tuesday, Astronomy 101 at the rec center, the Kempsville Rec Center, and George puts on a great show. We always have lots of scopes. Well, at least 4 or 5 of us have scopes out there. So if you can volunteer for the scope part, that'll be good. Chesapeake Planetarium again next Thursday. I'm going to try to make that. We'll see what happens. Muse and Ghent and viewing at Jolliffe. I'm figuring we got so many members in the club. We'll have plenty of volunteers for Friday. Keep my fingers crossed. I hope so. I haven't checked to see how many volunteers we have. I think we had 1 or 2 on the Muse. Okay, then the following week, Chesapeake Cornwatch, Skywatch Northwest River Park. I don't know how the forecast is for 2 weeks from today, but it was very cold last time. And thanks to Jeremy, who brought some hand warmers at the last thing I went to. What was that? Trail Life, wasn't it?
Yeah, Trail Life.
And I'm going to bring my hand warmers because I think mine are better than Jeremy's. He's got the kind that are rechargeable. In other words, you put them in boiling water and you use them over and over again. Mine are single use, but they last about 3 or 4 hours.
Yeah,
so
these only last for about 45 minutes, but
oh, okay.
They're reusable. So
they're reusable, so it has advantages. Anyway, not to steal anybody else's thunder, but be sure and bring some warm clothes at all these events coming up. All right, where are we? Skywatch Northwest River Park. Then we have nothing for the Christmas week except Cornwatch and York River State Park and Night Watch at Chip Oaks. All right, so that should be pretty good to go for December. That's the end of December. Looking at January. Okay. Here's January, of course, the club meeting the first Thursday. I got to figure out if we can meet here. Do you know if we can meet here on the January? No, Peter? No,
Nobody here.
nobody's here from, oh, okay. Well, I'm not sure if we can meet here, so I'll have to find out. And if we can't,
Find out. We've got another month to figure it out.
Yeah.
And we'll make arrangements if we have to move somewhere.
yeah, okay. I was just thinking about that driving over here tonight. Garden Stars on Tuesday, the January 7th. Astronomy 101 again that following Wednesday. You can see the moon's first quarter here, which is significant for both Astronomy 101 and Garden Stars. Saturday, Sunday, the 11th. Full moon on the 14th, which does interfere with the, not the Pleiades, the Geminids. So that's why I didn't schedule a meteor shower. Jeff?
On the Garden Stars, are you sure that's on for the 7th? Because
yeah,
they usually extend that holiday lights thing into the 2nd week of January.
I'll refer to George.
I'll find out.
George will find out. Thanks for reminding us, though. That's good. Okay, here we go. Skywatch, we already said, didn't we? No. Cornland Skywatch, Northwest River Park on the 18th. Let's see, last quarter moon, Cornland, Cornwatch, Night Watch, Chip Oaks, and Cornwatch again. We got 3 Cornwatches, is that right? Seems like that's too many.
That's because we always precede Skywatch and Night Watch with Cornwatch. And if you look at February, you'll see we got back-to-back Night Watches.
Okay.
Because that's just the way the phase of the moon.
The moon,
occurred.
yeah. We want to be away from the moon for our good observing and the photography for the dark side, people like me too. Okay, so that's February. Any questions? Any questions from anybody? Okay, I'll stop share and we'll turn it back over to the Presidente, El Jefe.
Thank you, Jeff. Yeah, this coming Friday, well, not this Friday, but next Friday, the 13th, we've got the Muse and Jolliffe Middle School, and I was going to go to at least one of those, but I was informed by my wife that my granddaughter has a concert, and I guess we're going to the concert. So I highly recommend going to the Muse. That's always a lot of fun. We set up in the parking lot outside this little strip shopping center, and inside the Muse Writers place, they have all kinds of refreshments, cookies and sodas and other things, and it's all free. And if you get hungry, there's a restaurant next door. But we usually have 100 or 200 people come through and look at the moon and the planets. And believe it or not, we at one time, about 3 or 4 years ago, we saw 5 planets from in front of the Muse in downtown Norfolk in Ghent. We saw Mercury, Venus, Mars, Jupiter, and Saturn, all that same night, just right after sunset. So it's always a lot of fun. So if you haven't already signed up for it, RSVP and sign up for the Muse. We also need 1 or 2 people for Jolliffe Middle School. So Treasurer's report, are you ready, Rich?
Sure. Not a whole lot going on. This was actually a light treasure month, which was nice. So you see how much we got, just a little over $12,000. That was a decrease of like $60 from the previous month. And we did have some expenses, like Sean bought the screen printing machine that we have voted on the last meeting. Actually wasn't as expensive as we thought. So we had that going on and some printing, and then we got some money from dues. So we gained 1 member this month, put us at 203. So it was a slow membership ad month as well. You're going to start getting emails from me because now we're getting into renewal season. Everyone's dues ended. Well, not everyone. Some people pay in advance, so we're kind of set to reset dues at the beginning of the calendar year. So I'll send notices out. They're going to go to everyone. Don't freak out if you think you paid, or if you're not sure, you can ask me and I'll tell you if you're paid up in advance or if you actually owe, because not everyone does. Some people are good through this year, or some people are years in. So we'll start getting those out so we can start doing renewals. That's all I got. Anyone got any questions?
What was the $10,000 690 expense?
The what?
Says totals, under the totals in green, 22,000 income, 10,000 expenses. Is that cumulative for the whole year?
Yeah, that's the whole year.
Okay, so our balance currently in the general fund is 9,230.
It's 12,135. So if you look at the funds, so in our bank account, we have 1 bank account. There's $12,000 in it and some change. In a spreadsheet exists segmentation of that $12,000 into our general fund, which is pretty much the everything account,
and then there's separate accounts for scholarship specifics. So you have $9,200 in the general fund, almost $1,700 sitting in the primary scholarship, and $1,200 sitting in Georgia June scholarship fund.
Okay. Any other questions?
Insurance payment, is that all taken care of?
So I did find someone new, jacked at the price, and so I've signed an agreement to bind, and we're going to get an invoice here soon. So we do need to monitor the mailbox. That and 2 renewals are going to come in to make sure that doesn't happen what happened the last time where we end up late on the payment and they just canceled us right away. Ben went and checked the mailbox today, and there was nothing in there. So we do need somebody to swing by probably once a week, right now, to make sure that we can get that insurance thing straight, because that is outstanding. All the paperwork's been filled. I just need the invoice and to pay it. So I just need to be able to get it on a timely manner.
Okay, any other questions?
Keep paying me, Rich.
I appreciate you swinging by. I was gonna ask you here soon. I saw your email today, so I do appreciate it.
I'll check it again, just keep pinging me.
All the costs and checks cleared, taken care of for East Coast Star Party, or do we still have outstanding?
I couldn't make that one out. You have to.
Rich, all the expenses associated with East Coast Star Party, all that cleared through the treasury, or?
Yes, that all runs through our books. I have a separate spreadsheet that I keep for that. I don't think it should be up to date. If you want to know exactly, we came out ahead. Well, actually, I take that back. Not everything is paid. The Chipokes has not invoiced us yet. So yeah, right now we're $640 ahead. Everything's been paid except for Chipokes. When they send me a bill, I'll pay it. It should be about $200, which would put us $440 ahead.
Only 200, wow.
Yeah, it's a great deal.
I think they charge that much for renting the cabins.
See my name on there. Paid the $60.
Well, I lumped everyone in. Couple people paid. I collected $243 in cash at the event, which was a lot. I didn't go deposit. I made a PayPal donation. I just pocketed it, and then it came in this month as a donation from me for $243. But I think your payment was in there because
Yeah.
it was all the stuff I took on day
Yeah,
up.
several people paid in cash at the event.
Yeah. Yeah,
Okay.
like in previous ones, I've collected like $20, 40, it was like change at the event. But this one, it was a good stash. People showed up with money. I prefer it going through PayPal. It's easier for accounting.
Any other questions regarding the treasurer's report? Do we have a motion to accept the treasurer's report?
I move we select treasury report.
Second.
Second, it's been moved and seconded. We accept the treasurer's report. All in favor, say aye. All opposed, nay. Treasury report is accepted as read. Now our secretary, Eddie Paris, is flat on his back after back surgery. So we do not have an option to waive the reading of the minutes this time. But the secretary-elect, Gabriel Dandrade, has volunteered to take notes and take the minutes for tonight. And he'll be taking over from Eddie in January officially. Do we have any Alcor report, Bruce?
Yes. Can everybody hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. So not to be outdone by other people that blatantly co-op websites to give their report, I'm going to do the same tonight for a change since I'm usually there. Okay, so I'm going to share. Let me know if you can see it. Okay, can everybody see my screen?
Yeah,
Okay. All right, so I'm just gonna run through, some of the stuff that's on the Astronomical League website for a change. So first up is tomorrow night, there is a presentation at 7 p.m. on observing it all with binoculars. Okay, so these are actually pretty good. If you get a chance, they're all virtual, but everybody that speaks at these is pretty knowledgeable. The large convention that they have every year next year is going to be in Bryce Canyon, Utah in June of 2025. Okay. All right. Second up, what's up with the Astronomical League? They have a little newsletter. I get a lot of these, in the email, but they're available to everybody on the site. What I noticed interestingly is that they're changing over the printer for the Reflector magazine, and lots of costs for printing paper. No, they're not going all digital, thankfully, but the March of 25 issue will be all digital. Okay, so I presume that later on in the year that they will go back to print. But if we want to see who made different awards in March, you'll have to get it, online. Okay. Society Oscars, this is for you. I was naturally attracted to that. So I went to Regions and Clubs, Astronomical Societies, went to Virginia, and thankfully, we are listed as an official club of the Astronomical League, and it says contact George Reynolds and Jeff Goldstein. So I'll work on changing that up. Okay, but if somebody moves to Virginia and they want to find out about the 4 clubs in astronomy in Virginia, the others are in Oakton, Virginia, Elk Creek, Virginia, Red House, Virginia, where the hell that is, and us.
Hey, Bruce.
Yep.
You can make that contact president@backbayastro.org and VP@backbayastro.org. That way it will go to the president and vice president, no matter who they are.
Yeah.
I believe they take that from the roster that I send in, because that's one of the things I have to put in is who are the officers.
Okay, let's
They
say,
don't have contact. I'm wondering if I don't have Jeff's contact stuff on our actual roster.
well, it should be there.
It should be there.
Well,
I've never looked for it because I just have his stuff. I'm
Well, if
checking now.
if somebody wants to send something to George Reynolds, I click contact, and then presumably this goes to George. I don't know what email is underneath that.
Do a test.
Well, but can I ask a question on this? Do you update it or do they update it?
I send
Um,
them. So I send them updated rosters every quarter. And part of I have to reformat it, our roster into their format, which I have a easy way. Yeah, your contact's in here, Jeff. I have an easy way to do that. Our roster is built so it's easily to be configured. I take basically just take stuff out that they want, but it does have delineation, like they have a column for positions, and you denote who's the president, who's the vice president, treasurer, all that kind of stuff. So I was curious if maybe they got it from that roster, but Jeff, I just checked, his contact information is on the roster that they get sent. So
Okay.
it may be something. Yeah, you can reach out to him, Bruce, I guess, and
Okay.
get him updated for the new regime.
Okay.
That is if we have a peaceful transfer of power. I don't know if that's going to happen.
I don't know. I think it might be
Storming of TCC or what.
I think it'll be a bloodless.
We'll wait to see.
Bloodless.
Okay.
That can be changed.
Okay. All right. Next up, they have a brief blurb on the T Corona Borealis Nova. Their current estimates are between March and November of next year. That also corresponds to the window that your cable guy will show up to fix your cable. So who knows? Okay. So they got an interesting website there.
Well,
And then-
interesting enough, that was the original window that they were anticipating. They moved it up to this year because they saw some activity, which made them think that it was going into that pre-eruption dip that I talked about. That's why they're like, "Oh, it's going to happen now," but it didn't. So,
Yeah, okay. Well, then they send you over to this AAS site that goes into nauseating detail about the T. corona borealis nova for your perusal. Okay. And then lastly, they've got this new award, Hubble Telescope 35th Anniversary Special Observing Award. It has gold and silver levels, and you go observe things that Hubble has seen. So, right. And then, yes, AL is on Facebook and YouTube. So, that's all I really have. I actually also looked over at the ECSP site. I guess I'll talk to Sean about this, but we've still got the last fall's dates up there. We have confirmed March 27th through the 31st of 2025 to do the spring star party specifically so Jeff Goldstein could reserve his cabin. Okay. So anyway, so that's all done. And we do not have a fall date yet. The ranger told me he's negotiating fall dates with the Nottoway tribe of Virginia to try to figure out if they're going to do their fall powwow on possibly one of our new moon dates. So don't ask me about the fall one yet, but the spring one is March 27th to the 31st, and that's all I know. And we'll get that posted here on the website. Okay, any questions?
Yeah,
All right.
just real quick. There's website you're showing us. Is that link on our homepage? On our website?
For the Astronomical League,
Yeah.
I believe it is.
It is. Look under
I think
extras.
it's in there, but it's like hard to find. It's in there with like a bunch of others.
Links.
Hmm.
Somewhere it says,
Oh, it probably
Yeah,
astronomy.
astronomy links.
there it is.
Okay.
It's in there
Okay.
somewhere.
Scroll down.
I'll look for it later.
It's
Yeah.
probably easier to Google Astronomical League.
Yes.
But everyone who's a member of Back Bay Amateur Astronomers is a member of the Astronomical League. I get you set up. So you have access to all their stuff. All the programs.
I saw that. I saw the link.
Yeah, it's an easy site to remember. It is astroleague.org.
Astroleague.org. Right.
Yep.
Okay. After the meeting, I'll link it up.
You go back to the BBA website. I think I saw it on there.
Okay.
It's in there somewhere, but it's amongst 100 other web pages. A lot of them don't even work.
It's easy to find, astroleague.org. Okay, thank you very much, Bruce. That was very detailed Alcor report. Is there any update on scholarship?
Sure, I can do that. I just talked to Matt and saying that the treasury reported all the funds in, Rich, that's pretty much our balances.
Yeah, those are our balances. We've paid everything out, so we are funded pretty much for the next year.
Yeah, so the scholarship for next year for the BBAA primary will remain $1,500. The Georgie June Memorial Scholarship will be $1,000. And then we have the Nick Anderson Memorial Scholarship will be at $2,000. So we'll be awarding $4,500 worth of scholarships next year. Another major accomplishment for our club. So in January, we'll put the information out to the schools throughout Hampton Roads, and Virginia Beach will actually forward them to their teachers specifically, which I also do, but they end up grabbing a few new teachers because they're always coming and going. And then for May 1st is the closure date, and then we'll award hopefully 3 deserving students, right? Some good money.
Yeah, I hope we get a lot of that applications.
I will add to that, the money that's in there, like I said, we're funded, we have the money for primary and Georgie June in the treasury right now. Thanks as George reminded me because I had forgot. I sent the invoice to IMG events, the guys that pay us for Boardwalk Astronomy. So that got sent in like 2 weeks ago with the paperwork. The W-9s and all that kind of good stuff. So we should get that check. That was $2,000. Hopefully here soon. So another reason to check the mailbox is the insurance invoice, and we should be getting a check for $2,000 that goes to our scholarships.
Okay. Thank you very much, Ben. Any update on the RRT?
I haven't used it. I've been doing my own RRT, which I can report.
Can we access your RRT?
In there, I can tell them.
The BLRT, Ben Loyola Remote Telescope.
Lots of tell.
Okay. Is there any old business we need to discuss? I didn't bring the shirts tonight. I still have a box of unsold shirts, we'll figure out what we're gonna do with those, but we'll bring them next time. And in the transition for president, I'm going to update the officer's handbook. And before I give it to Jeremy at the next meeting, or somewhere between now and the next meeting. Is there any new business?
I had a question about business cards. The business cards for the Back Bay Amateur Astronomers are a hot commodity on Saturday, Sundays, and all the events, but I'm down to like 5 of them now.
Wow.
Yeah, Sean just ordered a new batch of business cards, changed the picture on it. It's now a picture of the sun. And so next time we see Sean, hit him up for some business cards. Okay, thank you. Good question. Any other comments or questions? New business, old business? Okay, how about observing reports or event reports? What was the result going out to the Trail Life Boys thing?
Well,
Besides being cold.
we had, I can't remember if it was 63 or something, around 63 kids total.
Wow.
And they hit us in waves, a lot of fun. They were all over our telescopes. They were grabbing the Dobsonian telescopes and grabbing them and pulling it down so they could see, stuff like that. And of course, they were trying to look through my sea star, and I said, no, here's where to look. But it was great. It was just so darn cold with the wind blowing. I think it was only 40, but it felt like 20. It was so cold.
Richard has portaball out there, which was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
The kid, it's a
Oh, it's that little thing that.
no, it's
No,
it's
it's
well,
but it's got a big spear on the bottom.
It's based on the Edmund Scientific.
Yeah, way back in the day.
Yeah, but it's a big one. It's a truss tube, portable.
Easy for a kid to grab.
But it collapses down to the point you can sit in this front seat.
Yeah.
It's wild. But yeah, the kids were moving that thing around like easy because it moves much more easily than my standard Dodge.
12 inches, you must have a hell of a time with wind then as well, too, like that.
I think they said it was like only 200 of those made or something.
I think so, yeah.
So he's got
Yeah, they don't make them anymore.
digit serial numbers on.
Yeah, I had not seen one since 2002, so that's how old they are. They don't make them anymore.
Some of the parents of the organization also brought some their refractors out there. So we had a fair number of telescopes pointing in all directions and a lot of very excited kids. And a great opportunity to test out the reusable hot hands.
Oh,
So I also put these to use last night. Just
put them in the microwave.
yeah, no, boil them, but they put out decent heat for about 45 minutes until they finally cool off.
So it resets?
It resets, yeah, you take those,
It recycles.
you boil them, and then you just bring them back out, snap a little metal disc,
No.
and yeah.
What is the chemical reaction? That's amazing. But don't break it open.
I mean, I wouldn't rupture the plastic, I have no.
I know the oxygen ones, the heat,
Right.
the little oxygen pads, but you gotta keep those like packed.
Yeah, so I'm gonna
Hot
give these,
snap.
I'm gonna give these a little bit more testing, but by the January meeting, I'll let everybody know whether or not they,
How long they last?
I'd say, they say an hour, they're really warm for about 45 minutes, they were
I
nice
was
for about
ready
an hour
for
and a
it
half
the
that
second
night.
hour.
Oh my
Yeah,
goodness.
we had 2.5 hours out there. I was ready for it for another hour.
It's so cool. I think we need the BBAA hot snap. private labels.
Too.
Mine, you know, I was at the Botanical Gardens and after that first hour, they gave it out.
George, I say we investigate private labeling BBAA hot warmers. That'll be a big sell online.
Somewhere.
Yeah.
That'll go viral.
Yeah, the incoming president is jotting that down.
May I have a question for Jeff Goldstein?
What's that?
Hey, Jeff, email me off this Zoom about C-Star 50 denoising, please.
Okay, yeah, it's not intuitive. You have to download it. If you hit the up arrow to download it in 3 places.
Later. Thank you.
Any other observing reports or event?
I did get the comment last night and put it on the BBA website. So if you haven't seen the comment lately, it's kind of small. And I don't know what the magnitude is, but it's down there. It's probably about 8 or 9. It's down there pretty low.
Which one? You talked about the count from
A3,
the
yeah.
summer?
A3, yeah.
Still, wow.
Yeah, you can still see it.
Because I look for at the start party. Nothing. But I don't have a ceasefire.
Well,
Any other observing reports? Ben?
Couple updates. So, I have a home observatory and Jupiter's back up and obviously it's all its glory right now. So prime time, remind everybody, it's on our website that even with a cell phone, if you have any size telescope, Jupiter's so big that with a little adapter, your cell phone can lock onto an eyepiece and record video and you can submit it online.
So Cuneo is still doing that.
Cuneo and the Spain and the Planetary Society in Europe, and they're tracking asteroid impact. So whether you happen to catch one, there's only been like 9 so far, or you just provide data, it all goes towards calculating their average impact. Right now it's like 14.3. I don't know if you want to bring it up, it's kind of interesting. Detect is the organization, and you'll get posted on their website, your name will be on there, you know, what country you're from and how much time. It'd be from a few seconds all the way up to days and hours. So I got 26 days times 24 hours of observing on Jupiter. And so in any case, it helps. I mean, it's part of our planetary defense, you know, and trying to figure out what's going on because they model the gravitational force. So I was breaking out the telescope to get it looking again. I was getting some really weird vibration stuff, and I didn't realize it was like 20-something years old. I'm getting old. And called astrophysics, and they have a little repair kit, and they got me into the guts of the worm gear, all stuff, and it was all gummed up. Sure as heck, after 20 years, the grease had gotten thick, and it was causing problems. So I got in there with a toothbrush and did off all the instructions and the repair. So if you have an old telescope that's tracking weird and it's old, get some, you can use lithium grease or whatever, or synthetic grease, and then clean out the old worm gear because that may affect. So of course, when you do that, then you got to change your periodic error correction and all that good stuff. So that led me on to getting back to asteroids because that has to be very, very precise. And the Minor Planet Center tracks over 1.2 million asteroids, and some of them are near Earth objects, NEOs. And so NASA's got the Citizen Watch going again after the last space impacted the asteroid. So they got a new list of asteroids because the scientists are trying to get as much data for their orbits. So they're asking for input. And some of them are visible. So I'm trying to get my observatory registered with Minor Planet Center. You got to submit a whole bunch of things to qualify, and I'm almost there. Maybe a couple more nights worth. But one of the near objects, and you can see it right now, and it's prime time for December, is 3200 Phenos, and it's considered a hazardous asteroid. It comes close to Earth, outside the moon, but close enough. It's considered hazardous, and its period is like 1.3 years. And it's visible. 10th magnitude is going to be this month. So then it goes way the heck out there and then comes back around. But it's in our orbit and goes, it's the closest approaching named asteroid in all of 1.2 million.
Wow.
And it's visible, 10th magnitude here. So if you got a telescope, get up the right ascension declination and take a look at it. And you can literally, if you stare at it, it's going to take about an hour of staring, you can actually watch it move because it's considered near Earth now. So it's hiking fast, but it's bright. So it's kind of neat. So in any case, the goal of that is to report, and there's the ephemeris data you report to the Minor Planet Center, and then you're perpetually held there once you're certified to report, but you got to get approved to report. You got to have a base, but you have a portable system, but you got to provide data that they have analyzed to make sure the quality is correct. Once you do that, then you can send data about any asteroid, new asteroids.
Very good.
So in any case, a lot of stuff going on. I'm in the process of doing that. Big celebration if I pull off the observatory code. That's a major.
Is that the one, Empire State Building size? There was one that's.
Yeah, that was was it a mile, 2 miles? Yeah, it's a whopper.
It was Empire State Building.
3,200.
So when are you gonna have an open house at your observatory?
Huh? We should.
How about having the January meeting at your house? No, we did that one year when we couldn't meet at
We did that.
TCC.
We
We
did
met at, in
Oh.
Suffolk.
Oh.
I can't remember his name now. He hasn't been active. He's more active in, ham radio now than he was in astronomy, but, yeah, we had meeting at his house, and we went out in his backyard and looked through the telescope. Okay, well, I have a video for the meeting feature, a 29-minute episode of The Sky Tonight with Sir Patrick Moore, who has since passed away, but he had a regular TV program on BBC, and this is called Moore Marathon, and he talks about. And some of his people who actually you can understand, his accent is so thick, it's hard to understand what he's saying, at least for me. But he has 4 other guys there who have British accents, but they are easier to understand. So let me see if I can. So let me see if I can pull that up.
Does it have closed caption?
I don't know. I don't think so.
Says share sound, so that's good. That they'll hear it.
Bless you. I don't see any way to share
Lower left.
what is that?
Lower left is a start button.
Lower
lower
left.
left.
Oh,
Yeah.
there. Okay.
No, that's the edit button. Down. Down.
See the play button underneath the 0.05.
There you go. I just hit edit. Now, how do I
Yeah, close,
stop editing?
close the edit.
How?
The X part, right above, just slightly up.
Get rid of it.
Oh,
There you go.
okay.
Good evening. For this program, we have another Moore Marathon for you, this time dealing with the winter stars. And this should be good with the winter stars are the most magnificent of the entire year. With me, Chris Lintott.
Well, I agree, Patrick. The winter stars are amongst the most beautiful. We've got a constellation of experts to help guide us around. As usual, Paul Abel, Chris North, and of course, Pete Lawrence.
And what we've done this time, we've split the marathon up into 2 parts. So the first 25 objects are naked eye and binocular, and the last 25 are for telescopic viewing.
And you can see the full list at the website at bbc.co.uk/sky at night.
So, with that underway, we should get a move on, and let's start with object number 1, Chris, the Pleiades.
The Pleiades is a brilliant object to look at, whatever your observing method. And with naked eyes, it's particularly beautiful. It's also sometimes called the Seven Sisters, because there are apparently 7 stars to be seen with the naked eye, although reports vary greatly depending on your sky conditions and all sorts. So I've seen fewer and more than 7 on different occasions.
The trouble is, one of them is variable.
Is it? But that doesn't help, and of course there are many more in the cluster as well, Pete. But there is some gas around the stars.
That's right. There's what's called a reflection nebula around there. And if you take a long exposure photograph of that region, you pick up this beautiful sort of blue misty cloud around there. And that shines because of the light reflected off of the stars.
So the Pleiades are in Taurus. The other cluster in Taurus, though, Patrick, the Hyades.
The Hyades, they have several easy naked eye stars.
It doesn't look too much like a cluster, Pete.
Well, if you compare it with the Pleiades, it looks completely different. It's got a very distinctive V shape, and the V is on its side, and that's supposed to represent the face of Taurus the bull.
And at the moment, the stars of the Hyades, they have their own proper motions. and they're getting towards Aldebaran.
So it's actually drawing together, is it, over time?
They are drawing together, of course. That means the longer you leave it to see the Hyades, the better the view will be. You might have to wait a little while.
And it'll be cloudy.
Indeed, indeed. Well, from those two, I think object 3 is, well, in some sense a cluster of stars, but a much bigger one. It's the Triangulum Galaxy.
It's the most distant object you can see with the naked eye. It's about 3 million light years away.
Paul, this one's actually harder than it seems to find. Is this a binocular object?
I think so. I made the great mistake when I first got into astronomy of looking for deep sky objects with very, very powerful eyepieces, and you do need small telescope or binoculars for this sort of thing. The main problem with it is it's a beautiful face on the spiral galaxy, but it's got very low surface brightness.
With a spiral galaxy like our Milky Way, Patrick, as you've often said, you can think of a spiral galaxy as 2 fried eggs back to back, clapped back to back, I think is the phrase. And with M33, we're looking straight down onto the white part and onto the yolk, and so that light gets spread out a lot across a high area. So even though it's a bright object, technically visible with the naked eye, it's quite difficult.
I have seen it with the naked eye.
I thought you might have.
The other week, actually, I went out and we had a lovely clear sky, the first one for ages, and I went out and I deliberately looked for it, but I can't see it when we get clear skies down here with direct vision. And what you have to do is you have to use a technique called averted vision, which is something astronomers use quite a lot, actually, but basically, if you're looking for a faint object, you don't look directly at it, you look slightly to the side of it, and that puts the faint light onto a more sensitive part of your eye. And it's a technique you can learn quite easily.
Yeah, just practice looking out the corner of your eye, so I can look over here but pay attention to you.
Do I look brighter?
You're certainly easier to see in faint light. Yes.
3.3 million light years away, so if you can see it with the naked eye, you're looking a long way back.
Yeah, so we're seeing it as it was 3 million years ago. Let's come back to our own galaxy, Patrick. Should we go to a cluster next?
Beehive cluster in Cancer, that's easily seen.
Yes, it is.
When it's a cluster of stars, that's exactly what it is.
It is, yes.
And a cluster of about 3 or 4 different names as well.
Oh,
which
yes.
is my favourite. I have no idea why, but they called this particular cluster, which looks like a faint misty patch up on the dome of the heavens, it was called the exhalation of piled up corpses. So there's a cheerful thought for you on a winter's night.
Isn't that supposed to be due to the fact that in mythology it was thought to be a portal for souls leaving this world and moving to the next? Perhaps when they got there, they just left all the corpses behind.
Indeed. But back in this world, it's easily a naked eye object. You can see it, try the averted vision technique again, and then binoculars, it's beautiful.
It is. It's one of these objects that's really made for binoculars, I think, because as soon as you put any sort of power into a telescope, a lot of the stars vanish out of the field of view, and it loses its magic. Yeah, definitely.
Why don't we come for what must be the easiest object of all? And Paul, this is definitely your province and Patrick's, Jupiter. We've got the red spot on the list separately, but Patrick, what about Jupiter with the naked eye and with binoculars? What should people look for?
On Jupiter's, mainly it's a very bright object, brighter than almost anything in the sky. And you can't mistake it, it's too bright to be a star.
And moons with binoculars?
They should be easy with binoculars.
Have you ever seen them with the naked eye, Patrick?
I personally haven't.
I haven't either, but
anyone?
No, I haven't. But I think the one thing about Jupiter at the moment is that because it is nestled in Taurus, very close to the V-shaped Hyades cluster, and it looks absolutely dramatic. I've been doing this over the last few weeks whenever the sky's been clear, and it's just gorgeous. The Pleiades up there, the Hyades, Aldebaran, and Jupiter. It's a must-see thing.
What more could you ask for? Huh?
Venus is there, and a fireball.
Well, Paul, moving on through the list, we're coming to our whole list of open clusters. Messier 36, 37 and 38.
Quite easily seen.
You can get them done in one go with binoculars. You just go, and
exactly.
You've got them all done.
Object number 13 on the Moore Winter Marathon list. I confess I have never heard of, and Patrick, I don't know whether you have, it's the Celestial G. Do you have any idea what this is?
Who invented that one? I do not know.
Well,
It was a chap called Graham.
It was not on my list, and Even now, I don't know what it is.
Pete, enlighten us.
Okay, well, the celestial G is a good example of what's known as an asterism, and it's basically a bit of fun in the night
So
sky.
an asterism is a collection of stars.
It's an unofficial pattern of stars in the night sky, and this one's a bit of fun because it helps people locate or hunt down some of the brighter stars in the winter night sky. And to draw it, you have to join the dots, basically.
Okay, where would you start? I guess Orion is probably the most distinctive shape in that. You find the belt with the two bright stars.
You could go from the
Betelgeuse
belt
and Rigel.
backwards, or Aldebaran, which is easy to see.
Should we go to a more obscure constellation? There's actually, this is one of my favourite objects on the list, number 17, which is known as Kemble's Cascade.
Oh, yes.
But before we get there, Paul, what on earth is Camelopardus?
Oh, I wish you hadn't asked me that, because I don't actually know.
Okay. Well, this is one of the fainter constellations.
Something I call the giraffe.
Yes.
This is a giraffe.
Yeah,
It's the
Camelopardus translates as giraffe, I think, because they thought it was a cross between a camel and a leopard.
It might be anything, frankly.
Yes. But where is this constellation, Pete?
Well, it's next to Perseus, and what you're looking for with binoculars is a bright star, or brightish star, on the edge of naked eye visibility, but there's a line of about 20 fainter stars either side of it, which actually covers quite a large distance. So the whole thing resembles a beautiful waterfall of starlight ending up in a splash
colours.
pool.
They're all different colours as well, aren't they? And it's so wonderful to see all these different colour stars.
It's a beautiful thing.
Let's come back to familiar territory, Patrick. What about Orion? What about Orion's sword?
It's a lovely thing. Below Orion's sword, you see the Great Nebula. It's a real glory.
It's lovely to see. It is one of those things that even in light-polluted Leicester, you can tell that it's not a star and that there's something misty there.
There's a fuzziness there.
A little fuzziness there. And of course, binoculars bring it out very well.
Long time ago, our sun was formed from a nebula like that.
Well, it's of all the things we've looked at on the list so far, it's the youngest place where stars are forming, because stars are currently forming there right now. So the stars in the centre of the Orion Nebula will eventually become a cluster of stars, and it will become the Orion Open Cluster or something in a few million years' time. For the moment, we see the diffuse gas around it. It's the nearest large region of space where stars are forming to the Sun.
Now, something I didn't know before looking at this list was that there's actually more to be seen around here. You've not just got the sword and the nebula, but object 25 on our list, the last of the naked eye binocular objects, is a cluster around Orion's belt, and I'd never realised that was an actual cluster.
That's right. It's called Colander 70. I mean, Colander is just a name given to another list
Just
of
a
objects.
catalogue. Yep.
If you're looking at Orion's belt, which is probably the most famous straight line in the entire night sky, you're looking right at the heart of Colander 70. And you can see other stars which are around it with the naked eye, but with a pair of binoculars on there, you see many, many more faint stars in that region. So that is another true open cluster, and you can tick it off the list once you've seen it.
So if anybody does decide to image or draw any of these lovely objects in Orion, or any of the objects we've discussed, I think it'd be great if they could send them to our Flickr site so we can all have a look, and you can find that on our Sky at Night website.
Well, I think we need to take a breath here. That's the end of the naked eye and binocular section. But before we move on to the telescopic objects, we've got a report from Chris North, who went to a star party in the wilds of the Brecon Beacons.
I've come to the Cumdee campsite in South Wales for the first astro camp of the Baker Street Irregular Astronomers. I'd like to catch a glimpse of galaxies, nebulae, binary stars, and later on the moon, and to share in some of the fun. Some of the objects on the Moor Winter Marathon will be up later, and it'd be good to get a few of those under my belt. Their usual stomping ground is Regent's Park in central London, with its eye-watering light pollution. But for 2 nights only, they've swapped the city skyline for lovely dark skies, here in the heart of the Brecon Beacons. Right, you take one end. I'm here for night 2 with my dad, Derry, who got me into astronomy as a young lad. On our family camping holidays, he would often point out the stars and constellations to my brother and me, so this feels like old times. My dad and I have brought with us a range of telescopes to this star party, from the lower end of the price spectrum, say £100 for a 3-inch refractor, to a few £100 for a slightly bigger refractor with a go-to mount that'll go wherever you ask it to. And then if you've got, say, £1,000 or so, you get a bigger telescope that'll let us see the deeper sky objects. Paul, Ralph and Tom help run the Baker Street Irregular Astronomers.
We've had beginners, we've had seasoned imagers up there at the top. I mean, there's a massive range, and some people who've come here actually don't have telescopes at all. And I think that might be a first to come to a star party without a telescope. So, yeah, we have a really, really broad range here.
Hopefully you're going to have the nice, clear, crisp skies, the Brecon beacons tonight. What kind of objects are you hoping to look at that you wouldn't normally get a chance to?
Very rarely get to see things like M82. We wouldn't be able to normally see the Veil Nebula without filters, and we're just really looking forward to being able to see globular clusters and the whole range of things.
And seeing the Milky Way, it's something we don't even get a hint of in London. I mean, and to be here and see the Milky Way and the dust lane running through it and just see all that detail. So, really looking forward to seeing that.
The Londoners have been joined by enthusiasts from all over, from Bolton, from Lancashire, the Peak District, and even as far afield as Scotland, all sharing in the fun. Well, it looks like we have a family outing going on here, so where's everyone come from?
Well, we're from Tring in Hertfordshire.
OK, so you've come a fair way to...
Yeah, about 3.5 hours in the car, but hopefully worth it.
Do you get out observing very often at all with it, do you think?
Yeah, most of the time when it's clear sky.
What kind of objects do you like to look at through the telescope?
Milky Way. Milky Way.
Milky Way.
Milky Way,
And the donut. And the donut.
They love the donut, the ring nebula.
The ring nebula, and it probably looks brilliant through a telescope this size. Well, guys, this is a nice, efficient setup you look to have here. And so what objects are you hoping to see with this tonight that you don't normally get to look at?
We usually look at double stars and we like looking at Jupiter. It's very good. We see all 4 moons. But today we're trying to learn how to see different deep sky objects like nebula and stuff, because we don't have a motor drive, so we're going to try and do it manually tonight.
So yeah, he's got a list of things we're going to try and find. Yeah. So we'll go through that one by one.
So a list of objects to find, that sounds like a great idea. Someone should make a programme about that.
All right.
Sounds like my dad and me many years ago. There are still a few hours to sunset, so I've got some time to cook up some sausages and beans for tea. Right, Dad, how do you fancy some slightly burnt sausages and possibly overdone baked beans?
Sounds delightful, Chris. I'm glad I left you to do the cooking.
Well, it's about 10 at night. For an astronomer, that's early evening. And I'm really looking forward to tonight. There's a real buzz about the place. The sky's clear, the sky's dark. I can see the Milky Way overhead and the dust lanes through it. I'm really looking forward to getting a view through not just my telescope, but lots of the other telescopes that are here as well. Our camera has picked up the Plough, that well-known asterism which is in our skies all year round. And also Cassiopeia, the W, which will be high in the winter sky. And there's even a little satellite passing by. Some call them celestial vermin, but I think they're good fun. The astronomers have settled down to start enjoying the pleasures of the night. So this is a beast of a telescope you got here. I'll look through. I've seen hundreds of pictures of the Veil Nebula, but I've never seen it with my own eyes. That's actually quite amazing. That's brilliant. Any more seasoned astronomers?
Yep. I am reasonably so. I'm the wife that'd rather be in bed.
How's the night going so far?
Yeah, brilliant. We managed to get the donut fairly early on. Yeah. The Ring Nebula.
The Ring Nebula, M57, or the donut to its friends. It's a star which has lost its outer layers, and to the naked eye looks like a wispy smoke ring. But long exposure photographs reveal the subtle colours in this beautiful object. You can definitely see that's a ring. Yeah. It's odd because it almost looks like an out of focus star, except every other star in the field of view is in focus. So it's definitely a tiny little ring, or a donut, I suppose.
Sometimes, I always say to my dad, I just want to scoop it out of the sky and put it in a jar and keep it with me, because it just looks like one of those cool things.
Yeah, it is a lovely object to look at. As the night rolls on, the sky above changes, and a whole new set of constellations come into view. Right overhead, we have Cygnus the Swan, a favourite in the summer skies, but which will soon fly away as winter approaches. And rising in the east is Auriga the Charioteer, which contains a few of the objects in the Moore Winter Marathon, but the naked eye is dominated by the brilliant star Capella. As it rises through the thickest parts of the atmosphere, the scattering of its light causes Capella to flicker all the colours of the rainbow. Well, the telescope's moving, so it's obviously pointing at something different. What are you aiming at now?
Right, we're going to go on to M13, Great Globular Cluster in Hercules.
Oh, very nice.
Just about to finish slewing now. It really is a nice view.
Oh, that's a gorgeous view. I mean, these clusters can just look. You sort of think they're just going to be one sort of round fuzzy ball. There's so much structure in there. There's tendrils of stars coming out.
Trying to pick out as many individual stars as possible.
Yeah, you can sort of imagine you can see the individual stars. So I wonder whether that is my imagination running wild. For now, I'll believe it.
You can always bump up the magnification.
I'm having so much fun, I've forgotten that Dad's still minding the telescopes. I wonder what he's been looking at.
Right, and Dad, how's the night going so far?
Hello, Cliff. Well, that, allegedly, is Uranus.
Is there anything in there?
Yeah, so you can just see a faint disc through that scope.
Yeah, it looks like a disc.
Yeah, some people say it's blue. I'm not sure that I believe them. But if that's Uranus, that's the first time I've seen it, so I'll tick that one off. Yeah. You hear these shouts go up every now and then. Was it when a meteor or a fireball goes? I think they've missed every one tonight.
So that's a first for both Dad and me. He's seen Uranus, and I've seen the Veil Nebula. Fantastic.
You can see the different colours as well, which is nice.
Well, John, Jenny, you've got a pretty big telescope here. What have you been looking at so far?
Been looking at Albira. Tried taking some photos, so hopefully they'll come out. And we've got on the Ring Nebula now, and that's it so far.
Coming here to this event has been a really good idea. You know, it's given us a chance to talk to other people, get lots of tips, you know, and we've probably gained more information in this one event than the past 6 months, you know, trying to find out for ourselves. So this kind of event is, you know, if anybody is thinking of going to one, don't think about it, do it.
It's midnight and the young astronomers have gone to bed, but the diehards still have a hit list of objects they want to see.
My daughter made a list just before we came out, so we've had a few things. Managed to get M17, the Omega Nebula, earlier on, and now I'm just waiting for the M1 Crab Nebula to come up. I might bottle it in a bit and go to bed, I think.
Finally, I get to tick off 4 more Winter Marathon objects. First, the Pleiades as it rises over the hill, followed by the familiar V shape of the Hyades, and in it, the double star Theta Tauri, number 16 in the list. And hot on their heels is Jupiter, which through binoculars is accompanied by a few of its moons. One of the first things Dad showed me through his telescope many years ago.
I'm quite happy to wind down now.
Well, I think what I'll do then is I'm going to pack up my telescope and wait for the moon to rise, get a view of the moon, and then possibly call it a night there.
Yeah, that sounds like a good plan.
The moon is a lovely sight, but at 3 AM, it's time to call it a night and get into my sleeping bag. It's been a great night and a great star party.
Well, Chris, you managed to get clear skies, so that's most of the battle won. But Pete, what is on the telescopic list, and how did you put it together?
So what we wanted to do here was actually introduce people to some objects which they may not have been able to see before. We've deliberately picked objects here which you can see with small telescopes, so there's no need to be afraid of actually trying to find these objects. And in fact, if you're worried about where to look, there are lots and lots of charts, etc., available in our guides, which are available from the Sky at Night website.
Good. Okay, well, where should we start? Let's start with a familiar object.
One of my favourites is the nebula, which is known as the Eskimo Nebula, which is in Gemini, the twins. Now, this is an amazing thing to look at, and a lot of people I know have never seen it through a telescope. In fact, I only saw it myself for the first time last year, and I was amazed that I hadn't looked at it before, because it is such a beautiful thing to look at. And this bit on the outside, which has lines of material which are estimated to be about a light year in length in reality. Filaments. They're like filaments moving away from the star. They make the fur hood of the Eskimo. So it does fit the description really well.
What's going on here is that a planetary nebula is a dying sun-like star that shed its outer layers. And so all that structure is in the layers of the star that have already been pushed off the surface of the star.
Yeah.
And you'll only see a planetary nebula like this for a few tens of thousands of years. So we're very lucky to see these things. Well, Chris, which objects on the list caught your eye?
There was one called the Flame Nebula that also goes by the name the Flaming Star Nebula. So if you look at that through a telescope, which is something I'd very much like to do, I've not seen it before, but the pictures I have seen, It looks like flames coming out of a star, which is how it got its name, I assume. And this is gas that's been lit up by the star at the base of the flame.
One really nice thing about this object is that star's a runaway star. It's moving very quickly across the sky, and if you trace it backwards, you realise that a couple of million years ago, it probably formed in that giant star-forming region in Orion that we were talking about.
There are a couple of others as well. There's Mu Microscopium and 53 Arietis, also are runaway stars which have been thrown out of that region as well.
And if any of the viewers want to see Mu Microscopium, then they can write to you
and send
directly.
them to the Flickr site as well, so we can see them. We also have the Crab Nebula, which is one of my favourite, which is a wonderful supernova remnant.
I mean, Pete, I've always found it interesting to look, especially in a wide field. You can actually see quite a lot of the structure.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I think where the disappointment comes from is that when you look at pictures of it which have been taken, for example, by the Hubble, it looks amazing.
It really does. And in the X-ray, it looks even better. if you had X-ray
eyes. It's a fascinating thing to look at through a telescope.
Well, while we're talking about stars that are dying or have died, let's talk about one that's on its way out. And actually, this is one of the objects on the list I've never seen, so this is on my to-do. This is number 34, Heinz Crimson Star. Have you heard of Heinz Crimson Star, Patrick?
I know of it, yes.
It's R. Lepus in Lepus, the hare. And it's beneath Orion, basically.
It is. It's actually right up in the top left of the corner of Lepus, if you like, and it's a very, very red star. It's what's called a carbon star.
Beautiful red colouring, actually.
It is.
I want to see it because Hind, the discoverer, described it as a drop of blood on a black field. And that's such a poetic description that if you've all seen... Chris, have you seen Hind's Crimson Star?
I've never seen it, but as you say, it's on
one for you and I. Another one on the list, Caldwell 13, the Owl Cluster.
This is a lovely cluster to look at. I know Paul's not keen on clusters, but this one will actually has a personality to it. Now there are two stars there, Phi 1 and Phi 2 Cassiopeae, and if you look at it through a telescope using a fairly wide field again, so a low power eyepiece, those two stars look like the eyes of an owl, or perhaps the eyes of an alien, and there's a line. Well, there's a line of a star.
This is getting increasingly desperate. We let you have the celestial G, but two stars that look like the eyes of an alien.
No,
okay,
stay with me. So you've got the two stars like that, and you've got a line of stars underneath, which makes it look like he's got his arms.
I thought you were going to say
extended.
a bicycle for a second there. Yeah. What will you be looking for, particularly, Paul, from the list?
From the list, I am actually going to go for something I've never seen before, and that is this difficult galaxy M74 in Pisces. This is a face-on spiral galaxy. It's probably one of the most difficult galaxies, difficult objects even, in the Messier catalogue, and I've always given it the brush off. I've always never really bothered with it. I wouldn't mind trying to find that, actually, because it's not in an easy part of the sky.
There's a trick for this one, and it's very important.
I'm all ears.
What you do, if you use a low power, you can see the core, and then if you look really carefully, again using that technique of averted vision, you suddenly start to see sort of blotches in the spiral arms.
And the blotches you're seeing through your telescope, the bright blotches, are these small regions where stars are currently forming.
You notice in the winter sky there's very few globular clusters around.
But these big cities of stars.
Yeah, I rather like those, actually. Globular clusters are lovely. And one that does take my fancy is M79. This is a globular cluster in Lepus. Now, it's been on my list to find it and see it, which is a fancy way of saying I've never seen it. Is it terribly difficult to find?
No, not really, because Lepus looks a bit like the number 8. Okay,
Right.
that's what the
On its
constellation
side,
on
yeah.
its side. So like an infinity symbol, if
yeah.
you like. And where the crossover point is, there are two stars. There's Alpha and Beta Lepori. And if you follow the line they make down and extend it for the same distance again, that points exactly at M79.
The other good thing about this cluster, if you're interested in such things, is that it's not part of our galaxy.
Isn't
So
it?
it's one of the very few globulars that are bright that are actually, we've captured it.
Right.
From a dwarf galaxy that the Milky Way is in the process of eating.
Right.
And so this cluster has been stripped from that, and it's still about 41,000 light years away from us. So it's distant, and it's the remnant of our galaxy's previous meal.
It's the breadcrumbs of the
Indeed,
meal.
exactly.
So that would explain why it's really difficult to resolve, even with a high
That's right, because
power.
it's a long way away.
Yes, a long way away.
41,000 light years is a little much, but you'll see it as a fuzzy patch in the telescope.
Yes, definitely.
Well, that's a good overview of our telescopic challenge. Of course, finder charts for all of those are on the website, so you don't need to remember anything that we've said. bbc.co.uk/Sky at Night. And if you do get images of any of them, you can submit them to our Flickr group via that URL as well. Let's go around. Let's see one object out of the 50 that you're particularly looking forward to. Paul.
One object.
One object.
All right. Well, I'm going to change my mind. After all of that, I'm going to go for, simply because you made it sound so alluring, Chris, M79, the after dinner breadcrumb.
Excellent.
I'm definitely going to try and find that.
Distant cluster, Chris?
I am going to go and try and find NGC 2244 in Monoceros, purely because I never really find much in Monoceros before. It's an obscure constellation. I think it sounds like a wonderful sight.
The unicorn for you, Pete?
Kemble's Cascade again, because I've seen it in the past, but it's such a beautiful thing to look at, so I'm going for that.
Okay. Patrick, one object for the next few months?
M44.
The Beehive.
Beehive.
Good choice.
Yeah, and I'm going for Jupiter, so that not with the telescope, just the naked eye, just watching Jupiter move as the seasons wear on. I think cycling home, I'll keep an eye out for Jupiter most nights.
And the cars.
And the cars, definitely the cars. If you want to take part in the Moor Winter Marathon, then you can do so, of course. You can go to the website, bbc.co.uk/Sky at Night. Remember, there are 2 lists, so you can take part even if you don't have a telescope. And we've tried to pick objects that everyone can have a go at seeing. When you've done that, you can send them in on paper to us at the Sky at Night, the Moor Winter Marathon, BBC Bristol, White Ladies Road, Bristol, BS8 2LR. So hopefully there'll be 1 or 2 clear nights between now and the end of January. So we'll make that the closing date, and we'll go through the best of the entries and the best of our observations in March's Sky at Night.
Best of luck with you all, and until next month, good night.
Okay, I'll stop sharing now. Very good, very good. And I highly recommend going to the Chesapeake Planetarium, if not only to help out with the telescopes, but to see the sky show. It's the Christmas star, and there'll be 5 opportunities to go to the Chesapeake Planetarium this month. 3 Thursdays before Christmas and 2 Tuesdays before Christmas. So
there was some chat, sir.
Oh, there's a chat. Let's see.
See it at the bottom.
Chat. Let's see what's in the chat. Oh, yeah. Yeah, Pleiades. The Pleiades, they call it the Pleiades.
The British way.
And Sir Patrick talks like he has marbles in his mouth.
Yeah.
But he's passed away now, so this is a good opportunity to hear him and see him. So, are there any questions, comments, or additions? We'll get out a little bit early tonight.
When's the next meeting?
Next meeting is the 2nd of January. And we've got a lot of activities between now and then, but the next meeting is the 2nd of January. And we missed you at the luncheon. We had a very low turnout at the luncheon, but I guess it could have been because it was Thanksgiving weekend.
It's a bad time.
Yeah, it's a bad time because people go out of town and visit relatives and stuff.
Guests in town.
And yeah, and have guests. I missed something this weekend because we had guests in from Maryland, from my sister's, my wife's sister and her husband. Yeah, we'll see if we can be meeting here in January. If not, we'll come up with an alternative location. And I have, at the end of the meeting today, after I bang the gavel, I will turn the gavel and the block over to our incoming president, Jeremy Mitchell, and also the roll of tickets. We didn't have a door prize tonight, but I do have a roll of tickets to give you. So, are there any additions to any comments?
This telescope, the Georgia June.
Oh, yeah. Go ahead, Jeremy. Tell us about the Jeremy June, the Georgia June telescope.
The telescope that was donated to the club specifically as a raffle prize for the Georgia June scholarship this year. Obviously, it has not seen first light because that